Hey, welcome to Thursday. I'm excited about tomorrow. I got a special guest coming. I can't wait to sit down and watch. All right. I tell you, I had a hard time getting someone to come in and teach for me, but I think I've gone into the future and got someone to come back and teach the class in the present. Yes, you will see what I mean tomorrow. There is someone from the future coming to teach tomorrow's class. Tomorrow is in the future. Okay, well, anyway. See you then on Friday. Hey, we've been talking about area in chapter 10 here. And area of a parallelogram, we learned, is a parallelogram. It looks like a tilted, in this case, a tilted rectangle, right? And we found the area of a parallelogram is the base times the height, right? Yesterday, we were talking about the area of a triangle. And when we did the area of a triangle, we found you can turn every triangle into a parallelogram. It's just two triangles. And so the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. 1/2 base times height. Doesn't that make sense? All right, that's what we were working on yesterday, using those numbers to do that. Today, we're leaving triangles, we're leaving parallelograms, and we're going next to circles. So circle over this way with me, all right? Okay, so, a circle, in 10.3, we're going to talk about the circumference of a circle. You got to know some things about a circle first, all right? Let's start with this. Here's a circle, right? Here are the parts of a circle. You got to know this vocabulary. First off, the center of the circle is right here. A circle is defined, in this case, all these points on the circle are the same distance from the center. Now, you can put a lot of points on this board, but they're not in that circle or on that circle because they're different distances from the center. So if you want to know what a circle is, all right, it's all the points are the same distance from the center, and that's what makes a circle. Now, if you draw a line from one point on the circle to another point on the circle, through the center, that is called the diameter. Now, that's important. It has to go through the center. I could connect this to this, and it's not the diameter. It has to be a line or a segment that goes through the center of the circle in order to be the diameter. Another word you need to know is called the radius. The radius is from the center, the distance from the center over to the circle. So that's called the radius. Now, there's some interesting things about that. All right, the diameter is 2 times the radius. So the radius is 1/2 of the diameter. So if I told you this diameter is 10 inches, what's the radius? 5 inches, right? All right, the radius is half the diameter. If I tell you, I know the radius of a circle is 5 inches, what's the diameter? That's right, 10 inches. So all you have to do is just remember that the radius is half the diameter is twice the radius. All right, so circumference then. Since that's what this is about, the circumference of a circle. Circumference is the distance around the circle. Around this circle. So whatever, if you start here and you walked all the way around here in this big circle, that distance that you walked is called the circumference of the circle. All right, so here's what we found out. There are some people, pretty smart people, and they found out another term that you need to use is called pi. Now, it looks like pi written this way, or this Greek letter. All right, this is from the Greek alphabet, and it's pronounced pi. All right, so you can write it as lowercase pi, or you can write it as this symbol. But both of them stand for a number called pi. Now, so it's pronounced pi. All right. Now, here's what they found out. Some Greek people were very interested in circles, and so what they did was they found, let's suppose, the circumference of a circle by using a method like this, where they take a string and they just go around the circle best they can, and they took that string and they measured its length, and they said, okay, the circumference of that circle is that much. And let's suppose that they found that it was 43.96 inches when they measured the string, 43.96 inches. Then they measured the diameter of that same circle, and they found it to be 14 inches. And then they didn't have calculators, but some brilliant person thought, well, let's divide that circumference. 43.96 divided by 14, and they did that with their calculator on this kind. And so they said 43.96 divided by 14, and they got 3.14. All right. That's interesting. Okay, there are bigger and smaller circles in this one, right? So they did the same thing. They measured the circumference of this smaller circle using the string method, and they measured the diameter. Let's suppose they found a circumference of 18.84 inches, and they found a diameter of 6 inches. And so somebody thought, okay, well, let's divide that circumference by that diameter. So 18.84 divided by 6 equals, that's where it started getting interesting. Very interesting. You would think that's a small circle, we're going to get a smaller number. No, 3.14. Look at it, it's right there, 3.14. Wait a second, that circle's what? Well, when you divide the circumference by the diameter, okay, well, let's try a big circle. Let's see if that works. So they did the string method, they measured the string, they got 62.8 inches for the circumference of that circle, 62.8. All right, I know they didn't have inches. All right, then they found the diameter to be 20 inches divided by 20. And they get, this is a big circle. It's got to be a different number, right? 3.14. Do you know, it doesn't matter how big, how small the circle is. If you divide its circumference by its diameter, you always get the same number. Now, the actual number you get is not just 3.14. The actual number never stops. It's 3.14159 ... means it's a non-repeating decimal. It just goes on randomly with different numbers forever and ever. But in 6th grade, we are going to round that off to the hundredths place and use 3.14. So in 6th grade, for the value of what we call now pi, and that's the circumference divided by the diameter of any circle, we're going to just round it off to 3.14. The same thing those ancient Greeks found way back then, 3.14. Now, later grades, you're going to use a larger value, or you could say a bigger number here. But we're just using 3.14. Now, 3.14 has another value, 22/7 as a fraction. Okay, so you need to know about the diameter, you need to know about the radius, you know about the center, you know what the circumference is, and now you've just learned about pi. It's no big secret what pi is. Every circle's circumference divided by its diameter gives you the same number. And they just gave that number a name, pi. It's 3.14 for 6th grade, or 22/7 if we're going to use it as a fraction. Okay, so with all that in mind, you can find the circumference of a circle now without using string, without having to go with the string method, and it's probably pretty inaccurate, all right? Instead, what you can do this is circumference of a circle equals pi times whatever the diameter is. That's pretty easy. Circumference of a circle, if you know what the diameter is, multiply it times pi. And you have that circumference around the outside. No string necessary to find the circumference. All right, so let's say that formula together. Ready? Circumference equals pi times diameter. Pi times diameter. Now let's use that. Let's suppose we have the diameter of a circle. Pretty big circle, 23 feet across, going through the center, from one point on the circle to the other, through the center. 23 feet. It's called the diameter. So this is what you're writing in the practice. Ready? Say the formula, begin. Circumference equals pi times diameter. Let's replace the numbers. Circumference equals pi, we use 3.14 in 6th grade. Times the diameter of 23. I did that over here, 3.14 times 23. I used 2 decimal places in my product. I get 72.22. That rounds to, let's suppose we're told to round to the nearest whole number. 72.22 rounds to 72. So the circumference would be about, and I didn't put equals, I put the about symbol. Circumference would be about 72 feet around a circle that has a diameter of 23 feet. All right, well, let's try this. How about if you're told what the radius is? Uh-oh, can't do it, because the formula says diameter. You can't, you're saying, this is great, you can't use it, because radius, you know the radius is 3 inches. You can't do it, because it doesn't use the radius, it uses diameter. But what do we learn about the radius? Okay, that if we know the radius, we can find the diameter. 2 times the radius would be the diameter. And since we need the diameter in our formula, let's just multiply 3 times 2. All right, so the diameter would be how many inches? 6 inches. All right, now we can use that. Circumference equals pi times diameter. Circumference equals 3.14, the value of pi here, times 6, right? Not the 3, that's the r, right? We want to use the d, the diameter, 6. And 3.14 times 6 is 18.84. I rounded that to the nearest whole number. There's an 8 in the tenths place, so I rounded up this 8 in the ones place to 9, and I get 19 inches. Approximately 19 inches around that circle. So just a couple more things I want to show you that you're going to use in the practice. Sometimes you're wondering, you know, Mr. Frazier, you told us about a value of pi is 3.14 for 6th grade, but also 22 over 7. Why the 22 over 7? Well, that's equal just about the 3.14, but why 22 over 7? Okay, well, here's why. It saves you some time. All right, let's suppose you have a diameter of 14 inches. All right, so circumference equals pi times diameter. Does 7, in this value here, 22 over 7, does 7 go into 14, the diameter, evenly? Yeah, it does. Then use 22 over 7. Here's why. So I'm going to say, instead of 3.14 times 14, which, you know, working with decimal, you can do it, right? But since I know 7 goes into 14, I'm going to say 22 over 7 times 14 over 1. Pi times 14 here. 22 over 7 is the value I use because I can simplify between the 7 and the 14. Remember, you must simplify before you multiply. Let's sing that song, okay? Simplify before you multiply. This is one of my favorite songs. I, myself, decompose this, right? Simplify before you multiply. 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 Here we go. All right, now, I simplify before I multiply. I can divide 7 and 14 by 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, 14 divided by 7 is 2, 22 times 2 is 44. You see how much easier that is than working with the decimal 3.14 times 14 here? You can do it, you get a similar answer. But I'm telling you, you can use 22 over 7 anytime that 7 will go into the diameter. Okay, does 7 go into 6? Then I'm not going to use 22 over 7. I'm going to use 3.14 as my value of pi, my approximate value of pi, all right? So I say, if I have a diameter of 6 centimeters, let's say the formula, circumference equals pi times diameter, circumference equals 3.14 times 6. I did that over here, I get 18.84 centimeters. And because we're talking about a distance, it's not square. You know, at the beginning of the week we talked about area of a parallelogram and area of a triangle, and we started with square measures. But this is circumference, it's a distance, it's not the area. It's like the perimeter of the circle. So therefore we're just using units, not square units, when we write our answers. Okay, so how about this? One more thing. What's the circumference of this outside circle? Do I tell you enough here? The book, by the way, this is one of your problems today. Do you know enough to be able to figure that out? Yes, you do. I noticed that from the center to this, you could say the radius of this circle is 7.5 millimeters. And then from this circle to the outside circle is 10 millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to need to know the radius. I'm going to need to know the diameter in order to be able to find the circumference of this circle. So the radius is 7.5 plus 10. The radius is 17.5. Well, the diameter will be 2 times that, right? 17.5 times 2 is 35. All right, now using that, circumference equals pi times diameter. Now I'm going to ask, does 7 go into 35? Because what value of pi do I need to use? Well, if 7 goes into the diameter evenly, then use 22 over 7. Okay, so I'm going to say circumference equals 22 over 7 times 35, the diameter. I did my simplifying before I multiply. I get 110 millimeters for the circumference of the larger circle. That is actually one of your problems I just did right in front of you. Okay, those things are all possible now with these simple formulas that we're learning. Hey, remember, a special guest from the future coming tomorrow, and in the present, I'll say right now, bye-bye.